All right, this is my dusty, dingy four-season commuter. This bike takes a lot of rain and a daily ride of 100 plus miles that's normally in the rain. And I don't worry too much about the grit and the grime. However, what does matter to me is brake calipers. And I think this brake caliper is building up some road grime. So we're going to get at that and fix that. So just a quick shot of our handy dandy BMW shop manual. What's kind of cool about this particular one is it's actually on a USB drive. So you just snap that in and basically gives us our whole shop manual here. Pretty handy. Okay, we've got our brake pads out of there. Basically the steps are pretty simple. Use the needle nose pliers to take this pen off of, actually this little clip off this pen. This pen spins out with a T30 Torx. Once that's out, you can remove this spring clamp, and that lets you take the pads right out of the caliper. So now we've got a bare caliper, no pads, just hanging there. So we'll pull that off. All right, so we took our ABS line and unhooked it from our brake line. And with that ABS line unhooked, we could unbolt the caliper, and we have just swung that brake line and caliper over and hung that up right here, ready to catch some drippings off as we hit this with a bunch of brake fluid. But you can see what's going on in here. A fair amount of grime and dirt, which, you know, brake calipers are going to have. They're going to be brake dusty. But if you see this particular one right here, and I don't know how well the camera will pick it up, but we do have one piston that's definitely building some crust, different than the other three pistons. All three pistons are dusty. One piston is dusty crusty. So we're gonna hit all this with some brake fluid and a brush, soft brush. Don't want to be scratching up pistons. Very soft brush. But some brake cleaner and a brush. Get these pistons nice and clean. We will clean up the disc and put everything back together, and hopefully have improved movement, less binding right there. I think that one piston was just grabbing a little bit. Hopefully this fixes the issue. If it does not fix the issue, then we'll have to come back and consider actually rebuilding the caliper. If this caliper is serviceable, I'm assuming it is. But yeah, we'll take this thing in steps. So tonight's step is just to clean everything up good, brush everything out, get all the crusties off there, and see if that doesn't free up our disc a little bit better. As is often the case, and part of why I like to DIY, I did decide to go deeper. I just couldn't get things as perfect as I like to get things on the bike. So pumped the pistons out and took the caliper off the brake hose so that I could clean the pistons up completely by hand, get the caliper spick and span, reinstall those pistons. The seals, I believe, are going to be fine. I didn't do like a full breakdown rebuild. I just pumped the cylinders out by hand, cleaned them up, reinserted them after checking the seals, looking at those. I think all this will go back together just fine and operate fine with no leaks, but we'll make sure. But yeah, she is shiny new now, and the pistons have been fully inspected, and those are looking good. So this is ready to put back together. So I realized I had tossed out my old syringe because I'd cracked it, and I need a syringe to reverse bleed, put this caliper back on. So anyway, with the bike up with no brake, I took the daughter's bike out to buy the syringe. And man, this is a fun little ride. I was reminded how much I enjoy it just by taking it out for that errand. So this little Kawasaki is a kick in the pants. All right, so back to our project. We are going to put the caliper on and then reverse bleed it. Okay, as long as we have the caliper off here, before we mount that back up, we are just going to verify our disc. So we see this minimum thickness, 4.5 millimeter. We will take our handy little micrometer here and we'll make 4 to 6 measurements around the disc, just checking for consistency and checking for wear. We've actually got this 5.36 fitting pretty snug all the way around. Looks good. All right, we've cleaned up the area and mounted back the caliper, and our brake pads are in along with all of our clips and springs. Got that bolt torqued down. The main caliper bolts here are just snug. We can't put a final torque on those until we have operating brakes, which we don't have right now. We've got an empty fluid system, so we're going to fix that here next. We have already torqued the banjo bolt, so we'll put this ABS line back on to the brake line, and then we are going to reverse bleed to refill the brake system. Okay, here's my reverse bleeder setup. I just Velcro right here to the fork, which keeps me upright to help me get air out of the line. And then I keep that line short and basically use a little tie wrap to close that off. Got my wrench hanging right there as the opener. And, with a nice short line, everything kept vertical, I'm able to keep the air out for the most part. And so doing that, I can just, watch my master cylinder fill. And everything should be good to go. We'll test this with a quick little traditional bleed, but we should feel good right now on the handle. Okay, we're wrapped up right here. We've got everything filled. We've got our handle tied off for the night. It'll sleep that way tonight. And down here, we've got a nice, fresh looking caliper back on there. And everything is acting as it should. We don't have the amount of brake drag we had when we started. We had some distracting brake drag, a lot of noise at low speed from the brake drag, and we've got that cleared up. She should be good to go in the morning.